And what's more important for us, Haitian, especially those of us who are not living in Haiti, in the diaspora, is that our children, our grandchildren, all of them participate in this tradition as an act of cultural identity for their parents' proud origins. And if you read most newspapers, most major newspapers in all big cities this week talk about our soup Joumou, because all our friends, Haitians, taught all their friends about this, what it means to have soup Joumou in January 1st. And New York Times, Washington Post, and Miami Herald, all of them had an article somewhat about soup Joumou and the pride that Haitians display on this day of January 1st. So today, as we commemorate this 217th year of our independence, we hope that we will all work with the same motto of l'union fait la force to make our country better, so that we can very soon in the future be all together wherever we may be as Haitian and friends of Haitian and descendants of Haitian, consume our soup Joumou on this day, knowing that our country is on the right track. Happy Independence Day. So now we're going to hear about this tradition and learn what it means.
Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. Bonsoir. Quel que soit côté où y a un abdou, bienvenue sur webinaire ça. I'm regardant jeudi à professeur Jean Dugé, natif natal ville d'Ekaï, qui est avec nous là, qui va aider nous faire conversation ça. Merci, merci, professeur Dugé, pour présence avec nous là.
Cosy pour l'invitation.
Pas de problème. Avant de commencer, je aimé faire un petit, un petit house cleaning bien rapide. OK? L'homme monte sous forum, s'il te plaît, mettez le microphone sous silence. Comme ça, nous pas, bien moins de distraction. OK? Comme conversation, ça peut être très interactive, nous demandé où pour l'on peut parler pour raise hand, soit la réaction en bas screen ou à côté pour lever mon pour parler, et puis modératrice cap moniteur chat là à bon parler. OK? N'a petit trivia de temps en temps, n'a posé des questions pour qu'on nous engager. Question yo n'a bon prime de $25 américains pour chaque question que nous poser, que premier monde qui met tes réponses dans le chat là a besoin de $25. Sous en Haïti, ou a besoin de mon cash l'autre semaine. Tout là-bas, ou a besoin un gift card dans email ou n'a besoin de l'autre semaine. Mais n'a besoin email ou avec numéro de téléphone. C'est le premier monde qui met tes réponses dans le chat là. So again, just to quickly recap, please mute yourself when you come in. This is going to be a very interactive conversation. If you want to talk, please raise your hand. Use the raise your hand function in the reaction section of Zoom to raise your hand. And the moderator of the chat will let you in. We're gonna have multiple Haitian history trivia. I hope you buffed up on your Haitian history here. So if you're the first person to answer the questions in the chat, we will need to capture your email if you're in the States, so that we can send you a gift card in email. Or if you're in Haiti, we will need your mobile number so that we can send you more cash. So with no further ado, let's get started. Let's get started on our conversation. Now, this is the first question on your knowledge of Haitian history. So if you're on the chat, be prepared to type up your answer in the chat. So who in the audience can tell us what the ingredients were for the original soup Joumou? Qui est-ce l'audience qui cap dit qui ça ingrédient soup Joumou original là te? N'a bon une minute pour mettre question, pour mettre réponse dans le chat là. So, qui sont ingrédients soupe Joumou original latte? What were the ingredients that that were part of the original soupe Joumou's recipe? Aha, let me see how on top of your game you are about soupe Joumou. And yes, this is prestige. To me, there's no soupe Joumou without prestige. So, cheers. Do we have a winner, Gillian?
Not yet, Cosy. We are waiting for for people to
answer
on the chat. You can answer us on the chat. This is the best way for us to hear from you. I saw yes, we got squash, Joumou.
Okay, what else?
Qui ça qui dit? Ok, vous mettez Joumou avec l'oseille.
Joumou l'oseille. Ok.
Qui ça?
Qui ça encore? Pumpkin squash. Joumou viande avec viande cabbage qui chou.
Ok, c'est dommage que nous pas joignons une qui va tout ingrédient yo. Comme faut que nous continuer, il y a notre question qui a fini. M'a fait nous connaître que soupe Joumou original là pas gagner viande là-dedans d'après la petite histoire. Pas de viande bœuf ni viande cochon ni coden, pas de bagaille ça dans soupe Joumou. La maîtresse soupe Joumou t'a bail parce que me connais la petite histoire dit que c'est blanc français qui vient avec bon bagaille ça. Bon, il y a une historienne qui démentit nous, Madame Bello démentit ça parce que les joints écrit comme si la travail original que maîtresse soupe là fait. Nous pas parler de ça avec. Ingrédient original soupe Joumou en bambou, c'est Joumou, bien sûr. OK? Il y a carotte là-dedans, il y a chou, il y a pomme de terre, il y a yam blanche qui dit yam bozo, OK? Il y a navet et puis il y a militon là-dedans. OK? Bah ça c'est pendant ma faire recherche sur Joumou que je apprendre ça en bas comme ça. OK? Donc c'est dommage que nous pas un winner parce que nous n'avons pas attendu que nous avons un monde qui t'a bon tout ingrédient yo, surtout les pâtes gain viande bœuf. OK? Donc on continue avec la conversation. Hein? Prof du G, est-ce qu'on peut faire un petit râler pour nous sur cause de soupe Joumou ça que tout le monde a parlé de lui, qui ont comme ça, qui ont paquet, qui ont coquille chaîne et manger pour préparer ici, hein? Surtout pour les janvier.
Et Cosy, je suis content l'invitation ça fait pour moi parler sur soupe Joumou parce que m'a réfléchi, me dit dans la tradition il n'y a pas assez parler dans l'école, il n'y a pas assez parler et timonio activité culturelle nous yo apprend yo apprécier yo bien yo pas apprécier yo mais l'école qui c'est un domaine qui c'est un champ qui c'est une orientation pour timonio ta capable apprendre qui ce qu'il dit yo malheureusement yo pas tellement mettre accent sur ce qu'il dit nous dans l'école. Et ça appelle là on dit jamais pédagogique on était intéressé à participer et pour moi surtout faire plaidoyer ça l'école doit parler timonio d'activités culturelles comme et tradition ça soupe Joumou. Alors
for our friends of Haiti who do not speak Creole, basically Professor Dujé is saying that he's recognizing that the schools in Haiti don't focus enough on the importance of our culture and our identity in the school. And the reason why he accepted this invitation as a teacher was because he really would love to see more of that happening in the school.
Et pourquoi c'est une pico tradition, non? Ça n'a pas une tradition, mais ouais, c'est ça. Et nous lever joindre, pas nous quitter pour nous. C'est une pico tradition, non? C'est à la fois une tradition culturelle, mais en même temps, c'est une tradition historique. Ça veut dire, c'est à la fois pour une tradition, et en même temps une tradition culturelle, et c'est une tradition historique en même temps.
Yeah, the soup Joumou. Our soup Joumou is not only a cultural tradition, it's also a very historical tradition.
Alors, ça qui fait lycée en tradition culturelle, nous connaissons ça très bien. Kilti, c'est une activité qui fait de génération en génération. C'est nous longtemps qui t'a fait une activité et puis monde qui vient après eux continue à faire et ils transmettent réalité ça de génération en génération. C'est qui faut yo ou après c'est yo qui kembe ça qui fait mieux yo aller.
The stronger the traditions are passed from one generation to the next, the stronger the culture. You will see that the cultures who last a lifetime are those cultures in which traditions are passed from generations to generations.
Et tradition sous Joumou, et même si il y a l'autre recherche qui fait jeudi à Soli pour montrer ça généralement dit c'est pas ça lié, mais ça histoire dit ça si histoire dit tout et il sorti depuis 1er janvier 1904 côté moun yo te constaté dans la colonie, c'était blanc français qui boit soupe Joumou, et ça veut pas de droit, c'est interdit pour boire. Et finalement, pour 1er janvier, Maman Nation, il y a manqué parler sur lui. Maman Nation, qui c'est clair heureuse, Madame Dessalines, c'est lui qui vient avec l'idée ça pour dire soupe Joumou désormais, ils sont barrés pour tout le monde boire en Haïti.
Yeah. So, although, the story has it that, the slaves were not allowed to have soup Joumou, okay? But, as we learn more about our history, we're finding out that soup Joumou was actually declared a mandatory dish for Haitian people by the mother of our nation, who is barely talked about, okay? Madame Claire Heureuse, Félicité Bonheur, Dessalines. Nous femmes qui ont tout nos femmes quand même. So she's the one who declared soup Joumou as a national dish for all Haitians in the country. C'est ça?
Et oui.
Et qui l'a dit?
Et l'été fait c'est dans date 1er janvier même.
Vous comprenez?
C'est dans date 1er janvier, madame n'a déclaré, c'est pas Dessalines, c'est pas héros. C'est héros ça a pas parlé tellement de lui comme héros. C'est Claire Heureuse, Félicité Dessalines, Madame Dessalines pour nous faire écoute, mais c'est lui qui dit désormais en Haïti, tout le monde à la ronde badet, et que c'est Haïtien, on a pays ça en Haïti, où doit boire soupe Joumou et tradition héritée jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
Yeah. So we know that it's the mother of the nation who declared that as a tradition for the country. I would like to talk a little bit more about that because I think that, as a Haitian born, I was born in Haiti. I came to the States, when I was, I did most of my, formative studies in Haiti. And to be honest with you, Claire was the two women that I remember in Haitian history are Claire was very briefly and Défilé. Okay? Défilé. Et nous tous connaissons que c'est lui-même qui a ramassé les cadavres de Dessalines. Et then Claire Heureuse, c'était Madame Dessalines, mais ça s'arrête là. OK? Donc, nous avons même continué à aller sous femme voyant ça parce que ça le fait me réaliser le marqueur sous ça. C'est que Claire Heureuse, Félicité Bonheur, Madame Dessalines, comme on dit, c'est une chercheuse en nutrition que le pays. OK? J'en ai vu une découverte sur moi d'après ça.
Just wait up those like that.
Parce que lui-même dit que il a accès à travail original et Madame Dessalines. Bon, m'appeler le nom, Madame Claire Heureuse, Félicité Bonheur. Il a accès original à travail Madame ça, ok? Donc, il dit comme ça que lui-même, Madame ça, Claire Heureuse, c'est une chercheuse en nutrition, ok? Ça t'a fait des séries de recherche que tu as fait, tu as essayé de traiter des tuberculeux avec Joumou, avec recette Joumou ça que le partageait avec le peuple haïtien. Et puis, ça lui-même, il t'a cherché un ingrédient qui a un ancien esclavio jam, ok? Comme c'est pour ancien esclavio pas senti grand goût facile, comme si la t'a cherché une série de bagages qui cap kembe yo jam pour des jours, OK? Et c'est recette ça que le bail. Et l'on regarde recette ça, et Marie Morel, you can help me there. L'on regarde recette là, où son recette qui charge avec complexe carb que lié. OK? Yeah. So when you know, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this phenomenal lady, you know, Claire Dessalines, who was married to Dessalines, okay, throughout the revolution. So what we discovered while we were researching this is that she literally came up with the idea of feeding the Haitian people soup Joumou because she was looking for nutritional ingredients that can prevent the older slaves from getting hungry too rapidly. Okay, so she kind of discovered the whole Joumou idea according to the story. She came up with the whole idea while she was treating people with tuberculosis with Joumou. Okay, and she discovered that it had a lot of nutritional values. Hence, you know, her coming out with, hey, we're gonna do soup Joumou for all Haitians. Okay, and she started that on Independence Day on January 1st, and that was a way for them to kind of be a little bit more sustainable, right? But what kind of disturbs me in all this, once Dessalines got assassinated and his properties got confiscated, that phenomenal lady actually lived in poverty until 1843, when she started to receive like 1,200 good from the government. And then she later died in 1858 at about 100 years. And what troubles me even more is the fact that nowhere in our history, I mean, did we ever learn about that? Nowhere in our history do women, femmes vaillantes, histoire d'Haïti yo. Ou en même temps, pas aucun côté dans l'histoire. Si on pas chercher fond, pas besoin yo. OK?
Et c'est peut-être ça, Cosy, il faut faire un plaidoirie pour mesdames ça yo pas jamais un petit héros. C'est garçons seulement c'est nèg yo va être héros. Et pour les héros pas un petit héros, il y a l'autre femme vaillante qui participer dans tout combat yo. Et je crois c'est ça pour nous chercher regarder qui gens pour nous réécrire l'histoire, pour nous mettre manquement ça qui peut coexister dans l'histoire. On apprend petit monde comprendre, c'est pas seulement garçon qui est femme yo tout c'est héros.
Bien sûr. Et nous parlons font petit pause, nous parlons we're going to support what Professor Duget is telling us here. Who in the audience can tell us about the heroes of the Haitian revolution, the heroes of the independence, the Haitian heroes of independence? Who in the audience can put that in the chat? I'll give you a hint. There are 5 big ones that we should all know as Haitians. So I'll give you, I'll give you that as a hint. At least come up with 5, and the first person who comes up with the answer gets a $25 gift certificate. Gillian, you'll let us know. We'll continue the conversation and you'll let us know if we have a winner, okay?
Okay, for the record, I would like Cosy to make sure that people understand that they need to give 5. So I think, we some people are putting 1, so I think, Cosy is gonna get on the thing. So Latour, it looked like, one of our participants here is saying Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, Alexandre Pétion, François Capois.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
please capture the email address or phone number. Kote moun na ye?
Oui, moun nan c'est ici lié, li genyen, li jouen 5 bay sa yo, donc li même mwen gen a email address li. Mwen gen bay li, m'a pran li pou nan. M'a pran li.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So on continue avec conversation, hein? Donc, nous apprenons aujourd'hui que c'est Maman Nation qui finit avec ce plan.
Oui, c'est l'Ignace.
It's a little technical difficulty.
Oui, il semble que nous pas nous avons une difficulté avec Cosy, avec professeur. Donc, nous allons continuer.
Je voulais dire une parole.
OK, Dr. Yang.
De Marie-Claire Heureuse Félicité. C'était un Pérez Félicité qui était bas nous recette là. Mais son recette que il était déjà bas depuis longtemps parce que c'est lui-même qui était toujours ta bataille. C'est lui-même qui était premier Red Cross. C'est lui-même qui était qu'on a on the battlefield pour retourner monde qui était she was the one who went on the battlefield to help those who were injured, and she used her knowledge of plant medicine and provision to help the soldiers, to help women during childbirth, and to help children. So this is a recipe that, as a professor, came from way from Africa, and this recipe, I've never heard of it in France. So when I hear a lot of times they gave us the story, the myth, the lie or the myth that it was a colonizer. I don't believe that. I've never heard the French going in French and hearing about any soup Joumou being made the way we make the soup Joumou, with our essence, with our voodoo. You understand? So this is where we want to change the story. We want to own it and not tell the story as if we are victim. That's the point I was trying to come across. Let's not keep repeating the story that we are victim, we were giving the soup, that's why it was ours to begin with. It came from our memory. And Marie-Claire Heureuse, who was the empress, utilized it, as the professor was saying. She was looking to heal tuberculosis, and that's how they found out that the kabach, it's called kabach. I think I put it in the link. Which is the specific ingredient we use. We don't use the regular pumpkin that we see. We use the kabacha squash. And I put the link in there so you guys could look at the ingredient, because when Professor Baina Bello took that soup and had it analyzed and learned of the nutritional value that it has. Okay? So that's the little thing I want to say. And the story of Marie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ya. And actually, Dr. Dutes, you want to share something more with us? Go for it.
Yes. Regarding Félicité Heureuse, she was also the first person, as far as I know in history, who planned and organized nursing interventions to help wounded soldiers. Yes. That happened in 1801. The first time during the war between the North and the South, correct? So although we learned that all the credit for nursing has been given to Abigail Nightingale, okay? But the very first intervention where women were actually providing medical services to wounded soldiers occurred in Haiti, as in many other cases. And Félicité Dessalines was the person basically in charge of that. The other thing I wanted to kind of raise out, now 1804, there were celebrations all over the place. Now, Haiti is a highly stratified society. It is now and it was then. The majority of the people could not afford to have soup that day. And that's a fact, okay? Because remember now, they were working the land. Okay, the French were no longer there, but they were still responsible for working the land, and their rations were somewhat meager. They did not have access to have the soup. So one of the motivations also for Claire Heureuse was to provide soup as part of the whole spirit of fraternité, entraide, et interdépendance, that everybody should be on the table, that everybody should eat. So the issue we're facing now were there way back then, and she was one of the people who made a significant effort to make sure that everybody ate.
And this tradition is still being carried on today right now by the foundation called Fondation Félicité Bonheur. As we speak right now, they are in the street in Haiti and giving soup to everybody. And they're gonna be doing it from January 1st to January 7th. This is what Empress Félicité had asked us to do, to feed the mass, the people. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Gian. Do you have something else that you would like to share
Well,
with
as Jean Claude said, she was the first Red Cross person. Okay, so as the professor was saying, we need to really dig and start learning about our history. The story I heard about Marie Claire was that when her mother was with child, the father who was enslaved was taken away. And the father said, please do not name the child until after I come back. So when the mother had her child, she named her Tifi. And the father did not come back until the child was about 3 or 5. And he said, I want to name my child Marie Claire Heureuse Felicité. Oh, I'll host their back. And when the owner of the plantation learned that this enslaved, named the child Marie Claire Heureuse to punish the family, he sold the family to another plantation owner, and his name was Bonheur. So now Marie Claire Heureuse Felicité, who's about 5 years old, was taken to another plantation. But this owner was really appreciate this kid and taught her how to write and read. And as this young lady grew up on the plantation, she became 18, and a painter by the name of Mr. Petit came to Haiti and saw her and fell in love with her. Okay, and as you know, back then, you could just purchase a woman. When he wanted to marry, when he wanted to have a relationship, she told him, listen, if you want to be with me, you need to marry me. And sure enough, Mr. Petit married her, and she probably the first woman who probably got married, and they lived, but Mr. Petit passed away, leaving her with all his paint, all his book, and a home, and she turned her house into a refuge, and the first thing she did was to buy her mother and father from slavery, and that's when she became a person who went on the battlefield helping to heal soldiers who were wounded. And then this is how she met Jean-Jacques Dessalines. She was on the battlefield, and Jean-Jacques Dessalines saw her and was enamored and proposed to her. And of course, he was the most eligible bachelor in the land. And she refused him, saying that because he proposed marriage, she said no. She said, I have too much work to do. This will interfere with my work, you know. And that's when he had they signed a prenuptial. This is when prenuptial. He signed a prenuptial telling her she could go anywhere she wants, she could say whatever she wants, and he gave her, I believe, like 6 mules with medicine to go to the south to help with the soldiers. And this is the little story I want to give to you guys about Marie Claire Heureuse Felicité.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Let me add one more piece there.
She was a feminist.
That is awesome.
Now I understand. Now I understand why she was the one lining up women, getting them to cook and feed, like, you know, everybody everywhere.
Yes.
Okay, and she even after Dessalines died, she was actually continuing the tradition. She's the one who continued the tradition and made sure that soup Joumou was served throughout the country for everybody. And she was a healer.
I was telling them that right now in Haiti, the Fondation Félicité is doing that right now, feeding the mass. That's my godmother, Baina Bello.
Baina
She
Bello.
also did something extra.
Right.
She one of the things that she did was to make sure that Dessalines agreed to recognize all of the children that he was fathering all over Haiti. Yes. And then she took care of all of them. Way after he died, she took care of them. In fact, one of the children of Dessalines, General Jacques Dessalines, who was executed, by orders of Emperor Suluk. And that's when Félicité was getting a check from the government. She refused, she returned the money, which was 300 goud à l'époque, which is a lot of money. She returned it because she felt that Suluk executed him unfairly.
Yes, exactly.
She also,
So that's the kind of woman we're talking about. Woman, tremendous self-esteem. She knew her value, she knew what she wanted, and then she knew how to bargain for it.
yeah,
Wow.
and
She
you
was
know what?
feminist.
She epitomized the word dignity, okay? Because after the Stalin died, rumor has it that Christophe invited her to come over and live with him and his family. And he was like, what kind of nonsense is that? No, okay, I'm gonna continue my work with as much dignity as I can, and it's gonna carry on. So this is an amazing, an amazing story that I actually want to learn more about this woman. Now that I've done the Joumou thing, like, as a part of my research for the Joumou thing, I want to learn more about her. I want to understand more about her. You know what I mean? And kind of be inspired by her courage and her dignity. My God, this was amazing. Anyone else wants to share their thoughts? All right. So, Professor Duché, first of all, I can apologize for getting kicked out by NATCOM, okay? Unfortunately, this is the rotten type of service that we're getting in Haiti. I'm trying to come up live in Haiti, and thank God we had a backup because I knew that was gonna happen. We're using Digicel now, okay, which is probably going to drop off. So I'm glad that you guys picked up exactly where we left off. So bear with us here. Try to be patient, but not necessarily forgiving, because because this sucks. The type of cellular service that we're getting out here really sucks. So having said that, when we got cut off, we were talking about how the soup kind of permeated, right, from generation, transcended from generation to generations, and how now it's really it became some kind of a very how could I say, pragmatic thing to do soup Joumou every Sunday because of the leftover legumes that were left in the market. That's where we were at. And that's how it became a tradition, not only for January 1st, but every Sunday. And by the way, if you're in Florida and you're a winner, you're also gonna win a soup Joumou experience at Family Restaurant, which is in West Palm Beach. So you'll get both your gift card and your, and a coupon for you to go redeem at Family Restaurant. So let's carry on with the conversation.
Oui, moi-même, alors, il y a un bagage que nous devons mettre accent sur lui dans le cadre de Cosy, ça, c'est symbolique. Et il n'y a pas de symbole, c'est l'élément qui est dans le patrimoine matériel. Dans ce patrimoine matériel, foyo, canon qui était sur place d'âme assez souvent, mais il n'y a pas tellement, yo là oui, mais pas tellement formalisé sur yo, ça a des patrimoines immatériels. Il n'y a pas de patrimoine immatériel, nous sommes dans ce, mais tout sous Joumou, c'est un patrimoine immatériel. Ouais, parce que c'est une pratique, c'est une représentation, c'est une connaissance, c'est un savoir. Et puis c'est un sentiment d'identité. Et tout ça rentre dans le cadre patrimoine immatériel. Et son pratique sociale liée tout. Ouais. Et puis c'est un rituel. Il vient un rituel. Ouais. Donc tout ça a englobé patrimoine immatériel. Donc ce Joumou, c'est un patrimoine immatériel.
So, basically, soup Joumou is an integral part of our culture and our patrimoine. I can't find a better word for it. It has become part of the social fabric of our society. Now, one thing that I will say, it's a ritual for me, okay? Although I didn't really quite understand understand its significance. But by the time I got to learn how to make soup, necessarily tying it to Independence Day, I would just do soup Joumou because, hey, that's what we do. Okay, I would do soup Joumou almost every Sunday, hey, because that's what we do. And I will tell you, on January 1st, without knowing what Claire was doing, I'll be honest and very transparent about that. My home in Florida would be my door would be a revolving door where people come in and come out to come and get soup Joumou. They take home, they have multiple bowls. I would literally, throughout the day, I would have like 3 or 4 of soup Joumou, okay? So that everybody shows up at my door. So I'm glad to see that the spirit of this flamboyant was actually living in me. Because, because honestly, I just felt like that was the thing to do. That's the normal thing to do. And Marie, you can back me up if you want. Oh, I love your flag.
I must say, what I would like to say is that I knew nothing about, we had soup Joumou at my house every Sunday when I was in Haiti, and it just meant that's what we ate. And January 1st, and then I moved to New York when I was 11 years old, and we had our soup Joumou at home. It wasn't until I moved to Florida 20 years ago, and people were inviting you. Cosy will be inviting us to her house for soup Joumou, and I thought it was just the regular meal of January 1st. And I learned it was very interesting how I learned what it meant. We had one among us who was married to a Frenchman, and in my conversation with him, and we were all joyful having our soup, and he wasn't. So I wanted to ask him, why don't you like soup Joumou? And he said, I don't like the soup that, the celebration of killing the French. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you don't know? It's how they celebrated after the independence. And I was like, wow. And then that's when I learned that, it was, well, as Dr. Ya just said, it probably the wrong thing to say now, because it wasn't a French tradition. But, at that time, I thought it was because they prohibited the slaves to have the soup Joumou that we drank. We ate it every Independence Day. But as I said in my introduction, everywhere everybody knows that this is the traditional Haitian meal on January 1st or Independence Day.
If you don't have it, we're going to take your Haitian card from you. Your Haitian.
No, you shouldn't. Actually, I've learned a whole lot, and especially from those with the webinar from LCS, I've learned so much. But forgive me, because I left Haiti as a child, and I was involved in further studies that did not entail Haitian history.
Yeah, but but what I'm hoping that we can do with teachers like Jean Duget here is really, and maybe Claire Awards Foundation in Haiti, is really to start looking at the education and start questioning the status quo. You know what I mean? Why is it that there is so many negative things in the Histoire d'Haïti that we're using? Okay, when I went back and reread Histoire d'Haïti, okay, there is no way as a Haitian person that I can love my heroes, because they're all portrayed in such negative way. You know what I mean? And then to make it worse, okay, they don't even talk about the women behind the revolution. We had so many of them. And I think we should kind of take a pause, because I'm gonna ask you about to see where you stand as far as, how well you know the untold history of Haiti, okay? So audience, please help me out here. So tell me about, one Haitian woman heroine, okay, who fought the revolution, okay? And when she wasn't fighting, she was actually nursing the wounded soldiers, okay? And one good thing about that woman was that she was a keen a very gifted decision maker. And they used her brain and her power of decision making in the battlefield, okay? And she was right there with all our heroes, but remained unnamed. So who can tell me who that woman was? Who that other femme voyant is? The first person to type it in the chat will get, will get a prize.
Excluding board members, right?
Excluding
Board members?
Sans problème.
Yes. Because, someone like that, I'm thinking that I should have learned about her in our history, in our histoire d'Haïti that we studied from préparatoire 2 to secondaire.
I typed something in there.
Cosy, Dr. Ya put Marie-Jeanne. Marie-Jeanne.
No, that's not her.
Okay, there is another answer.
What's the last?
Marie-Jeanne Martinière.
Yes, we have a winner.
Okay.
We have, yes, that was Marie-Jeanne Martinière. That will be another session, okay? Because I have a feeling that since we have a connection to Mrs. Bello here, we need to bring her in on Vertier or May 18th, okay? To have her talk to us about those heroines, those femmes voyantes of the revolution. There were many of them, okay? Although we're not gonna talk about them here, but if you can help us get her to be our guest speaker at our May 18th celebration, for her to educate us. We need a lot of education because what I'm finding is that it's so hard to find good data about our history. It's extremely hard, other than the garbage that's fed to us in our histoire d'Haïti. Okay, it's very hard to really get your hands on that information. And if someone like Mrs. Bello actually got that done, we would love to learn from her. Okay, well, that was a little kick.
Mais ajouter un bagage, c'est comme si nous faisons l'histoire d'Haïti a passé comme premier moment histoire française, c'était Chevalier qui a fait la guerre contre Sarrazin, mais nous sommes dans une réalité moderne en Haïti. Côté, c'est pas seulement les garçons qui a fait la guerre, mais filles aussi qui sont impliquées dans la guerre comme garçons.
Okay, so we treat our history like, it's like it's a reflection of the French battles, whereas Haiti was always ahead of its time, I should say. Can you believe that? Haiti was always like, very modern about how they approach the revolution. No, apprend des gens comme Toussaint Louverture, apprend Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Jean-Yo leverage their relationships, okay, to get us to the revolution, okay, to get us to our independence. These people were ahead of our time, but unfortunately, you know what's next. So to the point that Jean Duget is making is that, we were modern. It wasn't just men fighting the battle. There were many women also fighting the battle. So I'd like to hear a little bit from the audience about what is it that Joumou represents for you. I just told you that I just did Joumou. First, I did it because it was the thing for me to do because it's Joumou. It's January 1st and it's Sunday. And then I started learning more about it and I learned a ton while we were preparing for this webinar. Thank God for LCS. Now, do you want to talk about what Joumou represents to you? Anybody wants to share?
I think, if you want to share, just get yourself off mute and come with us, please, because, it may be a little more difficult for us to be typing. So if it's going to take you more time, go ahead, come on off mute to talk to us one by one.
And anybody can take that up. Anybody from the board or, anybody can take that question up.
Actually, Cosy, if that's okay with everyone, I'm going to ask, there is a question for us and, anybody can answer. Arnaud is saying, when I was growing up in Haiti, we called the soup Joumou. But here, Florida is Joumou. Why the difference in the name? So, professeur.
That's a good question. Question, c'est que l'un lui-même, il y a une audition, le cap grandi, il parlait de sub-Joumou, ok, ou captain de tout sub-Joumou, ok, mais pour tout le monde, c'est sub-Joumou, il y a pas de Joumou, ça a sorti.
Et alors, Joumou, c'est un dérivé de Joumou et Jérôme, et français et les Jérôme, et puis Haïtiens qui joignent bien trop syllabes dans Jérôme, de faire jour et va prononcer Jérôme en tout, de faire Joumou, et puis quel côté en Haïti yo te kon dit Joumou tout en même temps Joumou yo joignent Joumou li pi simple pi pratique et puis Joumou c'est même dans des langues c'est des langues ni français ni créole ça veut dire Joumou li pi l'encréation qui expressif qui simple qui pratique et comme ça qui pratique à Joumou mais tous les deux existaient Joumou existait yo dit tous les deux yo écrit tous les deux tout.
We have some guests here. So, Joumou, est-ce que vous avez un dictionnaire créole là? C'est un bagage que nous tous nous avons fait un pile d'efforts sur ça, comme si là pour nous parler, écrire créole,
même tout trouver Joumou,
est-ce que Joumou
il dit Joumou ni Joumou.
Okay.
Alors, une langue, et les gens qui a travaillé sur la langue, ils reproduit ça étant dit. Puisque ils dit tous les deux, ils dit Joumou, tous les deux.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think just quick translation. So, we started with Joumou, okay, and then, that word kind of got transformed into Joumou, and then Joumou now is kind of transformed into Joumou for simplicity. That's the best I can offer right now.
Mais il y a plein de monde qui dit Joumou.
A lot of people, women, I debated on whether or not we should call this a sub-Joumou or sub-Joumou. Yeah. And I found that it's so much more authentic. It's more Creole, it's more, to me, it felt more natural for us to use sub-Joumou. So.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it has to do with language. Some people speak like a broken French when they speak Creole, meaning they just take a French word and put it into a Creole syntax. When I was growing up in Haiti, I've always heard Joumou. When I came to the US, and I heard Joumou. Okay, but again, it seems to vary depending on whether the person was primarily French speaking in orientation versus Creole speaking orientation. However, according to the English Haitian Creole dictionary, I look for squash. Okay. Noun, Joumou, calebasse, crasé.
How is you spell?
Joumou, c'est Joumou.
Okay.
Non, mais c'est
Est-ce que nous tenez ça? Nous tenez ça? Est-ce que nous tenez ça, professeur? Professeur a dit pas gain U en créole. Ma pas prendre oui mes amis. Ma pas prendre là tout oui. Pas gain U en créole c'est
Joumou.
Joumou.
Ou c'est un voyelle lié.
OK, qui vient voir sub Joumou.
Yeah.
C'est ça?
Yeah.
OK. All right. Any other questions, Glenn?
Ça, c'est de Féquier-Vilsaint. Apparemment, le langage a développé ou bien le langage a évolué. OK. Eh bien, m'a peut-être prochain dictionnaire. OK.
Actually,
ça a daté de 1991.
All right.
Cosy, we don't have any. We can keep on going.
On n'a pas de symbole. Et sub-Joumou, c'est pas un symbole. C'est pas un symbole historique de n'importe qui genre. À la fois un symbole historique et culturel. Mais symbole historique, c'est un symbole qui veut dire liberté. Chaque fois où on petit bol sub-Joumou, ça veut dire que c'est un monde qui est libre, ou une nation libre, et ça veut dire ou pas d'esclavage encore. Ça, c'est important. Et c'est ça qui est enseigné au monde. Ça qui est enseigné l'autre petit monde haïtien qui est dans la diaspora. Il dit chaque fois qu'on a bol soupe Joumou, qui c'est un symbole culturel là, un symbole historique, mais ça veut dire tout, Haïti, c'est un pays libre. C'est ça, ça veut dire pour Claire Heureuse, qui te mette ça. Chaque fois, esclave là, Kaboué, soupe Joumou, ça veut dire, il n'est pas esclave encore. Il est un monde libre.
Okay, you guys heard that? So we're still talking about the meaning and the symbolism behind soup Joumou, okay? And what it should really be translated to is that every time you're drinking a bowl of soup Joumou, you should be reminded that you're drinking it as a free man or woman living in a free country, because Haiti is supposed to be a free country. Okay, so there should be more connection made from the soup itself to the whole concept and idea of freedom.
That's right, because food is extremely important, both psychologically, emotionally, and also politically. It bonds people together. We eat with people we're comfortable with. We eat with people we love. Food is also an affirmation of the self. Okay, and I definitely agree with Professor Duguay. For me, it is affirming your sense of worth, your human dignity, and a celebration of freedom within the Haitian circle.
Cosy, I have a question. Hello?
Directeur Zaga Magazine, même s'il pas sur panel là, mais il a tout.
We're inviting you to the team.
Yeah. Même si pas sur
panel là, get a chair for.
Même s'il pas sur table là, il va venir, mais il là, il va assister à la conférence en direct. Oui.
You come. Get a chair. No? Okay. All right.
Cosy, I have a question.
Karen has a question, so we're gonna give her a chance to talk to us for a second. Thank you.
I just, I have a question because it's an experience that I had. So years ago, when I was first going out with my now husband, January 1st came right after we started seeing each other, and I said, wow, where are you going? Because he's half Haitian. And I said, where are you going for your soup? Is your mom making your soup? And I automatically assumed, since he grew up in a Haitian household, Haitian grandparents, I assumed automatically that everybody in Haiti, you know about the soup, you do the soup thing, and that is your tradition. And I grew up this way. I was born and raised in New York. And all the Haitians that I knew, also born and raised in New York, had that tradition in their homes. So I assumed when I met my boyfriend at the time that he also had the same tradition. He had never heard of it. And I said, okay, that's okay. Let me ask your parents. They had never heard of it. They had friends that had known about it, but they never cooked it in their homes. And I started thinking about it. I said, oh my God, do we not as Haitian people have the same experience? It really made me look into it because I always had soup Joumou in my house, but never knew the history, right? So the minute I found out about the history of it, I said, okay, so does this have to do with the whole, the fact that we were slaves, we received our freedom, and that those in Haiti that were quote unquote the mulattoes, right? Did they not do the same thing? That's been my question, because I've been, to all of and they consider themselves 100% Haitian, and so any parties or anything, everyone's Haitian. But when I ask the family, aunts, uncles, everybody, I'm like, did you guys have soup? No. I'm always so surprised. So obviously there's some Haitians who don't do this. So I'm very interested in, have you heard about this? Or has anybody else realized that there are Haitians in Haiti who don't celebrate the same way? But ever since I've entered the family now, they're all about the soup Joumou, so everyone tries to do it. Even, so my mother-in-law, she tries to do it. It not the best, but she really tries her hardest because she considers herself 100% Haitian. And everyone else too. So they do feel as if they missed out. My husband does. He's eating it right now. So we have 2 different versions people have made for us, and I plan on making sure that I learn it correctly from you, Cosy, hopefully. We learn it correctly so that I pass it down to my daughter. So I just want to know, is this something that you've all heard of that not all Haitians do? Because that was a complete surprise to me.
Can someone take that question? So, question c'est que Karine a dit que lui-même dans la famille Marie, il n'y a pas de même connaître le Joumou. Il n'y a pas de quoi faire, il n'y a pas de quoi manger, il n'y a pas une histoire. OK? Est-ce qu'il y a une sorte de, on va dire division, non? Est-ce qu'il y a une sorte de fracture dans la culture là, côté que il y a une partie de culture haïtienne là, qui va mélanger avec votre cause de ça?
M'a répondu et c'est ça, nous comprenons les frustrations, c'est parce que c'est ça que nous dit avant, l'école a fait travail vraiment. Et tout le monde qui passait comme Haïti, que ça niveau de fait, il faut comprendre la tradition. Mais malheureusement, pas un côté formel, il pas écrit dans le document et l'école pas transmettre, c'est dans la rue, c'est dans la famille. Il y a seulement les vieux et tout pour faire le faire. Ouais, mais malheureusement, pas une institution qui dit, ben, on a formalisé ça, on a pris un document pour nous dire, mais ça est mais c'est modiste là. C'est dommage, ça arrive, c'est pas ça en arrive. C'est un pile haïtien, il y a un peu sur le Joumou, et on va lui dire bon en bouche tout, mais il va pas ça symboliser.
Okay. So Marie, Karen, this is going back to the absence of educational support for cultural symbolism, like, you know, patrimoine culturel, no.
You know, because I hated to think, I hated to think that it might have been, you know, I hate saying this, but mulat versus non-mulat. I hate that aspect, but it really, because they come from German and Belgian backgrounds that came to Haiti, right? So I always think of it, and it you know, it made me mad because I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Do you not relate to us in that way? That's what it made me think of originally. And I quickly, you know, changed my mind because they're not like that. They don't treat me like that in any way. But you know, it did make me think. The more and more I asked their family members, you know, and I guess the more
you might be onto something. I don't have any data other than your data point to really support that, but you might be onto something because a lot of the French, like all my friends from France, that's a tongue twister. All my friends from France never heard about Haiti in school. They never heard about the bataille de Fertière. They never heard about how Haitians really kicked Napoleon's butt. They never heard about Toussaint Louverture. They never heard about Dessalines. So I wouldn't be surprised that that information is suppressed in those cultures. But I don't want to put it out there as a blanket statement because A, I'm not a historian. I'm just a cultural buff who loves Joumou. And 2, I don't have enough data to back me up. So I wouldn't put it out there as a statement.
All right. Cosy and Jocelyn, I am gonna be giving you the time to talk, but you know, Astrid had put her hand up, so I wanted to make sure that we honor if she had a question or if she had a comment. And after that, Jocelyn, do you will come with us? That's okay. Astrid, do you have still something that you wanted to share with us?
I think it was my hand.
That was your hand?
That was my hand.
Okay, so you get to go after Jocelyn. The ladies first.
Okay.
Right? Jean-Claude, thank you.
Okay.
Vice president of the board, so that's why you know. Jocelyn, go ahead.
Jocelyn, you have to unmute.
You're muted, Jocelyn.
I try to be everything right? Sorry. Happy New Year, everyone. I want to take a minute to follow up with what... Bonne fête de l'indépendance. Respect. I wanted to follow up with what Cosy was saying. It's just something that happened in 1987, 1988. I went to Martinique, and there was with my daughter, who was about 5. And I met some graduates from France who also were vacationing at the time. It was a nice group. We got along just well. And they asked me where I came from, and I said, Haiti. These are French from France that just graduated university. So when they asked me where I came from, I said, no, I'm not from Martinique, I'm from Haiti. They said to me, where is Haiti? I was shocked. So, and we had a long conversation, and they said they do not have any information as such in their education. And that was 1986, 87, around there. Just wanted to share.
Non, je peux share quick. So, donc, ma traduit pour Jocelyne, pour comme si là, pour confirmer ça, m't'a dit, ok, donc ça c'est un deuxième point, un deuxième data point. Ça l'a confirmé, c'est que les rencontres ont fait de mon Martinique, dans l'université, qui va te faire rien de l'histoire d'Haïti.
Ils ont fait graduer de l'université, c'est-à-dire très intelligent, et c'était un cadeau, un groupe de 20 comme ça qui est rentré, sorti en France. Et puis, on m'a dit, côté, je suis sorti, je dit, c'est haïtienne de Haïti, ils m'ont demandé qui côté Haïti y est. Moi, dit non, je vais l'expliquer dans Haïti en 2-3 mots. Et puis, je me réciter pour et ça que tout c'est l'ouverture te dit. Et puis, vraiment, j'aime comment on fait ça, il levé mon lait. Parce que dit non seulement, tout autant que m'a parlé, il y a Haïti, il y a une image Haïti devant eux. Et il expliqué que je ne vais jamais éduquer sur Haïti. Tout, ni leur était l'école moyenne, ni leur était dans le collège, dans l'université. Donc, on a besoin de partager ça avec nous.
Alors, ça va me comprendre. Et plus grande armée sur la terre à l'époque, dans la zone occidentale, c'était la France. À l'époque, côté Haïti a pas été menacé. L'on est capable de mettre en déroute plus grande armée qui gagne en Europe. C'est un gros bagage. La France, honte. Ils sont des milliers. Ils ne peuvent pas jamais parler de Haïti. Les Français, ou bien sur le territoire français, dans le programme et l'école française, ils ne peuvent pas parler de victoire. Et tous les Haïtiens, c'est des ancêtres qui combattent une plus grande puissance esclavagiste et puis qui mettent dans des routes, qui vainquent, qui prennent liberté. Ce n'est pas un bagage qu'on a parlé en Europe à l'époque. Ça veut dire la France, jusqu'à présent, est toujours route pour parler de liberté, d'indépendance et Haïti. On a compris un petit français, parce qu'on vraiment connaît l'histoire d'Haïti. Et comme c'est français, depuis au commencement avec l'histoire, non, c'est un marteau. Il faut nous apprendre, je dis, avec l'histoire, non, bien qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire. Mais nous, pour aboutir, côté de c'est nous pour l'histoire, nous sommes nous qui pouvons faire bâtir nos symboles, comme nous dit, académicien dans la période, il prend vertier, il mettait dans le dictionnaire français que nous là. Donc, c'est son premier pas. Donc, je pensais, les Français, ils n'ont pas qu'à écrire l'histoire pour nous, c'est nous pour écrire l'histoire. Et pour nous apprendre à l'Europe, ça peut passer, c'est normal. Et jusqu'à présent, ça pour vraiment fait.
Mais entre autres, excuse-moi, mais entre autres, jeunes étaient très, très intéressés. Ils ont tellement posé une question que finalement, moi, j'ai récité pour eux les plaintes de Toussaint Louverture au fort du jour, qui ont été très appréciés. Donc, jeunes voulaient apprendre. C'est mon génération avant qui ne pas voulait que je connaisse ce qui a passé.
Donc, et ça fait me penser que nous-mêmes, qui fait partie de génération qui, entre génération avant, avec génération jeune qui vient, je pense que c'est son devoir pour nous, okay, pour nous continuer à faire travail ça à travers tout véhicule, pour ne pas mettre notre tête pour que ces compétitions à faire. Nous avons fait à travers des organisations comme l'ouverture Cultural Society. Nous avons fait à travers des magazines comme Zaragua, nous avons editor-in-chief Zaragua qui est là avec nous aujourd'hui, qui a assisté nous. Nous avons fait à travers Alain Louis Hall, qui comme si là, qui a un brilliant mind when it comes to the history of this country. Nous avons fait le tour à travers une sensibilisation, travailler avec nous comme professeur Dugé et l'autre professeur tout, pour comme si là, pour ça a commencé à rentrer dans l'éducation civique pays, parce que moi, je n'ai pas d'éducation civique encore. D'accord? Moi-même, le mal l'école primaire ici, ok? Nous avons éducation civique pour nous faire chaque jour, même j'avais ok, 14, whatever. Mais civique, c'est fait partie de l'éducation.
C'est tellement fait que l'école n'est pas monté de drapeau.
OK? Et là, nous faisons petit gars, on va aller faire saluer le drapeau haïtien, on a chanté la des saliviennes pour nous fermer le programme ça. On a fermé la 3h30. Donc, je pense que c'est un travail qui m'a dit en pile collaboration, OK, en tous différents cerveaux, cerveau qui est très brillant, ça a fonctionné là. Pour ça, m'apprendre dans 3 webinaires que je fais avec l'ouverture Cultural Society, dans mettre étudier le livre Histoire d'Haïti, mettre virer, me tourner, m'apprendre par cœur, OK, pas chambre apprendre ça. Donc, je pense que son travail, il faut continuer à faire, OK, nous-mêmes, qui génération qui transitionner à jeune, OK, même le que nous pas recevoir là, mais génération avant là, OK, je pense qu'il faut chercher information pour essayer de divulguer, pour nous mettre le dehors, pour nous finance, comme s'il y a des organisations, des magazines comme ça, par exemple, qui toujours besoin de sponsors, pour nous finance et activités ça, activités LCS, pour nous divulguer l'information. Donc, bon, nous avons l'autre question là, pour nous qui est dans l'audience qui soumet. Moi-même, nous connaissons femme bon et mieux. Nous allons continuer tout ici, mais nous avons l'autre question là, avant de finir. Moi-même, son femme bon et fouiller l'histoire femme bon en pays d'Haïti. So, who in the audience can tell us who this woman was, okay? She was another female soldier during the Haitian Revolution, okay? She, after marrying a general, okay, she herself became a sergeant and then a lieutenant, okay? She fought violently, okay, throughout the revolution. And she became a prisoner of war during an attack on Korai Miwo, okay? Both her and her husband, the general, turned themselves in over the same time to avoid being separated from each other. And they were both sentenced to death and executed. Ni li mari yo exécuté, c'est ton femme qui vient nous lieutenant, qui est un général qui vient nous lieutenant, et puis qu'on y a la bataille qui t'a passé dans Korai Miwo. Yo kembe yo comme prisonnier de guerre. Mais ça qui est remarquable dans l'exécution, c'est que même là, il a exécuté là, il a tête li haut comme une femme voyant. OK? C'est avec fierté et comme s'il arrive un monde qui était prêt à mourir. OK? Avec, parce que son monde qui était quoi dans la révolution. Oui, ça tout, oui, ça fait là, oui, je dis. Son monde qui était quoi dans la révolution, son femme voyant, il mourit à tête li haut. So, who can tell me who that woman was? She was a soldier who became a lieutenant in the.
All right, Cosy, I want to tell you that I have several people that are starting answering. I got the first person, so I'm gonna go one by one. The first person is said this is Sanit Belizea. Another no.
Sanit Belair.
Sanit Belair. Okay, I'm sorry. Gon lot qui mette Suzanne Béliard. Gon lot qui marque Cécile Fatima. Nous beaucoup gain, non?
OK, non, Suzanne, moun qui dit Suzanne Béliard là, c'est du gain.
Oh, moun qui dit Suzanne, eh bien, c'est pour te faire, c'est pour te ban mwen. Kounya, est-ce que m'ka prend deux parce que Suzanne Béliard?
Suzanne Béliard.
OK, c'est un gain ou bay ou bien m'passe m'gain deux qui dit li?
OK, we'll give two.
OK, donc on a deux monde.
Nous avons l'autre question qui est importante encore. Mais j'espère que nous avons joué monde qui pour gagner. L'autre question très très importante pour moi, OK? C'est question qui bon que Général Dessalines avec Geoffroy s'est rencontré pour venir bailler indépendance d'Haïti, pour venir bailler naissance à indépendance d'Haïti. Même gon moun là qui a répondu oui. Hein? OK, même gon moun dans l'audience qui dit quand Gérard qui bon dans plein d'écailles. OK? Donc, the independence of Haiti, became a reality. OK? At Quand Gérard dans plein d'écailles, Magali Gatwo, He was right here. Marie-Ignace Rivière, who's right here. One, you know, said it, raise her hand as soon as I said that. OK? C'est là que deux généraux ça je t'ai rencontré. OK? Et puis, une semaine ou 2 semaines après, c'est la dernière réunion qui fait. That was the last meeting before the independence. And then, 1er janvier 1804, Général Jean-Jacques Dessalines vient proclamer indépendance d'Haïti. Nous connaissons une chose difficile pour nous faire une indépendance vraiment, but we are a free country. We are an independent country. I know it's hard to believe, but we are. And over Joumou today, I'm telling you that I am a free woman, okay, of Haitian descent. And I'm actually drinking Joumou in a free country that really needs to be mentally liberated. Okay, so c'est ça m'a dit.
Cosy, merci en pile. Thank you so much. So we have actually, you know, we have 2 winners from the United States, and they are probably, and this is Yoli, Basile, and Arnaud. So if you would put your email for me right there, since, you know, we would have to email you your gift card or your, so put your email, Yoli and Arnaud. I don't have your full email. So put your email in the chat for me, and I would appreciate it. And actually, Cosy, the person in Haiti, so you could definitely take.
I believe Magali Gatwo is diaspora too.
Oh, Magali, there is no such word as the diaspora when you're talking about a Haitian woman. There is a Haitian woman of Haitian descent.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so it's 319. I love this. I would love to
Yoli and Arnold and the other person I know.
So anyone else wants to talk about what Joumou means to them? Because obviously you can see that it's my heart, okay? And I think I've done enough talking. So anyone else who wants to chime in their history piece of Joumou?
I was gonna share something that I found out that my Bella wanted to say. So let me see if you guys could hear it.
Pour ça, on a encouragé tout le monde qui est capable d'aider, tout le monde qui est capable de partager, qui voulait partager, parce que partager est important. On a des premiers principes. C'est jour la liberté, c'est jour l'indépendance.
Can you hear it now?
Donc, joyeux journée de l'indépendance, les premières paroles. Numéro 1. Numéro 2. La terre, femme ou garçon, c'est le premier principe pour nous appliquer pour payer nos vies bien.
I have a better idea. I have a better idea. Can somebody send that to us? Can you send that clip to us? We'll make sure that we share it. To everybody.
I'm gonna try, but I will try. But she basically was saying that the first principle is to share, partager. And when you make the soup, it's not a soup of independence if you do not share it. Okay, that's the first principle we learned. That was it.
And that's why if any restaurant is selling Joumou on January 1st, that's a travesty to the, you know, to the memory and the symbolism of Joumou. All right. So anyone else wants to share?
Well, there's a big giveaway of soup Joumou today in Brooklyn. Some council people got together, and there's 5 Haitian restaurants that's giving soup today to everybody. So in the spirit of it, they caught up.
What are the names of the restaurants?
Also, in Fort Lauderdale, La Belle Monique was giving all free soup Joumou this morning.
Well, good.
All right. So the last question that we have. Oh yeah, you did say it. Madame, qui ça que a pas prendre si mon école pour au moins, like, you know, qui ça a pas prendre de par exemple, pas sur répondre question ça à travers
Our hand is up.
Susan Belair is the same person as Sanit Belair.
Mais par yo pas assez compétences, peut-être yo dit yo ça symboliser. C'est ta rôle l'école. Ta rôle l'école ou l'église ou l'institution yo, peut être capable aider société avec des petits millions bâti.
I have to say something here. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, guys. Now Digicel is acting up. Digicel is acting up. I think we're coming to the, and that was my backup plan. Natcom is completely gone. Digicel was our backup plan. So I think we're coming to the end of this very wonderful, that whole segment about Clara Words, where she came from. Although I only caught part of it, was a wonderful exchange that I learned a lot from. If there are no other questions in the chat or no other comment, I'll turn it over to Dr. Marie Morel. Go ahead, Dr. Gites.
Well, I was reading to the chat that Suzanne Belair is the same as Sanit Belair. Now, my reading, and according to stuff that I've read, this is a powerful love story. So there was this fight between the French who came back to re-enslave us, and then the people who were fighting against the French, and then the French generals, the Haitian generals were working with the French. Sanit Belair and her husband, Charles Belair, they were fighting against the French. Dessalines troops engaged the unit that included Sanit Belair, and then she was captured. This is documented by Dessalines troops. Now, when Charles Belair learned that she was captured, he loved her so much that he surrendered to Dessalines, who then took him to Leclerc, and then both of them were tried and executed. So she was captured first. And then when she found out that she was captured, he could not live without her. He chose to give up. And then he gave himself up to Dessalines. That's the story. Powerful story of love. And I like to share that story because many times Haitians, man, are seen as incapable of loving as deeply. So I'm sharing that story.
Thank you.
My God, what a beautiful story. We need to have a follow-up on that. Maybe we should focus on, the powerful love story as one of our where we only look at that couple and what contribution they had, in our revolution. Now, I love that.
I have the D good, and the name that's on the D good is Sanit Belair.
Sanit Belair.
That is the name.
Okay.
Belair is the name of Charles Belair. Yes.
Okay, so we'll give a prize. We'll give a prize to both Sanit Belair and Susan. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll settle it that way. So please get the information. We unfortunately, guys, all good things must come to an end. But before we end, before Marie, I'd like for us to please write Dr. Guylaine, if you can please for us to properly salute our beautiful Haitian flag. Okay, so Dr. Guylaine, if you would please, share your screen and share La Dessalinienne with us. We'll rise and we'll just for 2 minutes. We'll. Just a little technical glitch here.
Yes, unfortunately, I was trying to show you this, but it's not. Okay, let me just try to get from the beginning. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, I'm sharing now.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, I have a little technical difficulty, so I'm unable to show it to you guys because it won't play. So I'm so sorry for that.
Okay, do you have we have a backup, right? Can you play harmonies?
Yes. Give me a quick second, and I apologize for the delay.
Okay, well, perhaps I can talk to them about
Please.
joining.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm sure everybody's happy and very satisfied with our conversation. And we really want to thank Dr. Ya and everybody else who, you know, join and making it even more interactive and telling us more about what we needed to know about those heroes de l'indépendance and everything about Joumou and more. Well, I want you guys to know that the Louverture Cultural Society, this is one of our purpose in it, to really promote Haitian culture through history. So, you know, if you enjoyed our discussion, and we have had, this is only the third discussion, and we see that we have so many more things that we would like to share, so many more subjects that we would like to develop. So, you know, we will definitely invite you to other seminars, but we ask you to join us, participate, and become a member of the Louverture Cultural Society. And the yearly fee is a mere $25. So therefore, you know, it's not very expensive, and it's a whole year worth of knowledge about things that we have not, you know, learned in school, and it's very enriching. And we would like to have a diverse community like yours. I mean, a lot of people come with expertise in different subjects, so we can all learn. And if you want to join, you can go to our website. Unfortunately, we had a slide the last webinars that shows where you could go, but we could try to, since we will have all of your email sent to you, where you could go to enroll and become a member. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead.
We ride and close with La Dessalinienne.
We can stand.
Drapeau, nous, c'est pour travail, mettez ensemble pour l'autre pays qu'à respecter. Drapeau, si là, c'est nom tout haïtien pour Haïti, non, nos ancêtres, yo, c'est pour sécler, c'est pour planter. C'est notre toute force nous chita, c'est ligue by nous manger, en habite, en voye ou à quel content, vote à bail, c'est clair, ou des femmes pour garçons, pour nous vivre avec celle force qu'on y est, nous pour Haïti, dans nos ancêtres, yo faut nous capables, voyons garçons et femmes voyons, Moun pa fèt pou et avèk moun. Se sa fè tout mama, tout papa, tout ero gen ti moun yo, l'ekol pou yo sa se stil, tout sen de sa litoya. Te fè pou et neg an bakola. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation.
You're very welcome.
Is there any more?
I
think Cosy is still speaking. She was.
Cosy, you on mute.
I just want to LCS does want to reach everyone and a happy new year. Go ahead, Cosy.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for being the visionary behind this organization. Right. I wanted to quickly take a moment to introduce you to the board members. We have Mike Moise, who's our president. We have Dr. Duterte, who's our vice president. We have Dr. Guylaine, who's our secretary. We have Franz, who's our treasurer. And then you have Dr. Morel, who's your director of external affairs. You have Jocelyn Camo, who's director of external affairs. And you have me, you have Cosy Joseph, who's your director of internal affairs. I'm sorry, Marie is the director of membership. Sorry about that. I thank you for your time. Merci en pile pour ton nom. Merci en pile pour l'engagement que nous prenons pour passer une heure et demie ensemble. Nous réellement apprécier que vous quittez un petit temps sous côté pour apprendre de pays, pour apprendre de Haïti, pour apprendre de ça sous Joumou pour nous, Haïtiens. Donc, à la prochaine. Our next event is when, Mike? You're on mute.
Mike, you're on mute.
Yeah, our next scheduled event is tentatively scheduled for mid-February. It's going to be something about mental health. And our very own Dr. Duterte, who is a licensed psychologist, I believe over 45 years, Dr. Duterte, just joking, will be the guest speaker. More to come, we will certainly communicate that to everyone. We want to wish, we certainly want to wish everyone a happy new year and much success for 2021. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Healthy decade. This is the beginning of a new decade also.
I just want to remind everybody to be cautious and protect themselves from coronavirus because it is spreading all around the world, and each of us need to be prudent and stay healthy for 2021. Thank you.
And take your vaccine if it's offered.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Cosy. Great job.
Great.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
It's a pleasure. I did it from the heart.
I can feel the energy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for educating me.
Thank you also.
Right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Cosy.
Bye.
Bye, Cosy. See you soon.
We look forward
Bye,
to seeing
Marie.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Magali.
Bye. Thank you for coming.
Bye, sis.
Bye, darling.
Can the board members stay a little bit, please?
Oh, okay. Well, oh boy. Okay. I almost exited.
All right. So, Alan, Cheryl, everybody. So we want to thank you very much. So we're gonna be like just closing up right now. So thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
All right.